Sweet. Yep, sweet. That's the intro. Do not cut that. That is our intro. Just hi, and moving on.
Moving on.
You don't get a proper intro this time.
My entertainment is immense.
Are you not entertained? But anyways, back to the. Excuse me, it's stretched over on my end. There we go.
Obviously, this one just woke up.
Something like that, yeah, like 20 odd minutes ago, something like that, yeah. But excuse me. But regardless. So, hello. Welcome to the show. For those who don't know, I'm Nick, of course. Over on the other side of the mic is, of course, Justin, providing us entertainment. And we are... I want to say the midweek report, but the name constantly bugs me. I keep telling myself you have to change the name, but I haven't gotten around to doing that yet.
Well, we kind of have to coordinate that, and I'm sitting here.
Yeah.
You always know at least around 10 o'clock I'm home, so.
Do I, though? I did not know that. But, I do not know what
unavailability.
Unavailability is questionable.
Yes.
But regardless. So anyways, welcome to the show. Of course, like I said, we have done the intros already, so I won't do that again. But anyways, so today on the show we actually have something interesting. I didn't actually not expect to do this until literally the weekend when I saw this trailer break, surprisingly. And it's a Hogwarts Legacy gameplay reveal trailer. Now, this one basically crept up on me because apparently there was, like, reveals for the gameplay trailer, and that they were going to do it in, like, last week sometime, but I didn't hear anything about it. And the only way I heard about it was after the fact when it actually released, like, a day later. On November 11th. I don't know if it's great to release a gameplay reveal trailer on Remembrance Day or not. I don't know. I'll leave that to your own personal interpretation, but they did. And we watched it, and link in the description for that. At least I hope it is.
Yeah.
Okay. I didn't ask before the show starts, so...
I didn't bother asking, I don't need to.
Just clearing that up. So, it's in the description for those who want to see it. It's like 43 minutes. It's more of a interactive showcase trailer. Excuse me. Then your traditional, 5 to 4 minute trailer. It's like 43 minutes, so something like that. So it's pretty long. You're gonna need a chunk of time to do it. About the time you would take to watch this show. So, yeah.
Yeah.
And we're gonna talk about it. What we saw, what we think of it. What we think going into it. For those who are curious, this game is releasing in February. The exact date off the top of my head. I can't remember anything right now. It's unfortunate.
I believe February it's coming out?
Yeah, February next year, which specifically the date is 10th. So February 10th next year is when it comes out. It was going to originally release in December, but they pushed it back for pretty much unknown reasons. Well, officially unknown reasons. They didn't give any real reasons. They were just like, we're pushing the game back. Deal with it.
Yep.
Some people would say it's because of more polish in the game, though those who kind of know game dev would be like, yeah, a few months really isn't much to do anything, so it's probably for a completely different reason. Some would even say that the reason is that they just wanted to get out of a window of the holiday season, which is usually when you want to try to aim for, but I think it's because there might just be too much going on in the holiday season, though right now I don't think there is all that much going on, so... If they were trying to free up their calendar, they kind of shot themselves in the foot there.
Yeah, no, from what I see, it doesn't seem like there's too much stuff game-wise going on for this holidays. Like, there's some, yeah, but not. It's a lot more quiet.
Honestly, it's going to be disappointing. It's going to be a very dry Christmas, which is unfortunate because usually
there is one game that I'm going to be looking into, but that I'm going to be saving for another time.
Probably an indie computer game, if I'm mistaken.
Yes, but one that's actually pretty darn popular, and for good reason too. So,
well, as popular as you can get in the indie scene, I suppose. But fairness, that can be pretty popular. Undertale's a very good example of that. FNAF as well. Regardless.
Those two blew up like the moment they went onto the YouTube.
Apparently, in the case of FNAF, everyone just likes to be scared by animatronics, which...
My jump scare. My jump scare.
Oh, my jump scare.
Oh, yeah. Give me that.
Give me that shit. But, anyways. But yeah, no, so... Like I said, it's kind of weird. Most games, if they get delayed, will try to aim for the holiday season because that's tend to do where most people will get their shopping done, and that's a very good time for selling. Though you don't want to get too late because if you want to get, like, for example, in the Game Awards kind of like area, you have to be careful with how late into December you are. Maybe they figured just might as well push it back for next year to get into the next year's Game Awards. I don't know. I'm just spitballing on that one.
I could see that, actually. I could see that.
It has been voted for most anticipated game of the year, so I certainly imagine it'll make its appearance this year at the Game Awards simply on the basis of the most anticipated game of next year, basically. But regardless, back to the gameplay trailer itself. Like I said, it's 43 minutes. It's kind of a dev intro. Funny side note, they actually have the collector's edition like book thing in the center of the table in like 2 different areas, so you can kind of tell they're kind of trying to remind people that it exists. I don't know how popular that thing ended up being. From what I heard, it was a crash and burn ideal. Like, there were so many things you could have done with the collector's edition, and that's the route you chose to went with. I don't know. But regardless, like I said, back to the trailer itself. So, the actual design of the thing, it looks nice. Don't get me wrong. We actually see, like, legitimate walking around. We see legitimate actions. They walk us through the menus, the character creator. I have mixed feelings on this trailer because here's the thing. They technically haven't shown us much that we haven't already seen pretty much through leaks or basically their own ASMR videos. They kept it very much contained to the castle itself, and if memory serves, only areas we've already kind of seen before in previous trailers, so... Call me cynical, but it felt like this was basically a grand case of them saying a lot of nothing.
Yeah. Yeah, it was mostly, it kind of felt like it was like some kind of tutorial area that they were going around.
Pretty much.
I can understand showing the tutorial area, but at the same time, you kind of want to go and like show a little bit of the other areas, like the main areas or some of the high level areas. That way you can go and really get people hyped for it and interested in it. Like, you kind of want to hook people into it a little more.
Though in fairness, the ASMR videos have kind of shown a great deal of the castle, so maybe not. I don't know. There were a few places they haven't shown, but I don't know. That might just be me. I mean, they did take... go again. That's not a good thing.
This is kind of why you want to go and wake up a little earlier before a show.
Yeah, well, I had things to sort out last night. They were not fun.
Yes.
Regardless, I was moping for at least 30 minutes last night.
Oh.
But regardless... a solid 30 minutes, I know, so long, but regardless. In the case of the game itself, though, don't get me wrong, it looks like they spent 20 minutes just on the character creator. And I want to say that we've seen it before, and I wouldn't be wrong, unofficially speaking. And I say that because there have been leaks as to what the character creator looks like numerous times. We've kind of seen brief glimpses of it, but they've actually walked us through it in its entirety, shown us what we can and can't do, and shown us how it'll actually perform, so we actually kind of know the general shtick of what the thing looks like. So it looks like they've got kind of... On that note, it looks like they're going kind of the way Cyberpunk did in the kind of anonymity of things. Maybe this is just becoming a trend in the games industry where, you know, the whole male-female pick in the option settings just isn't a thing anymore because, let's be honest, you gotta please the LGBTQ scene, which isn't a bad thing. Don't get me wrong.
It's not bad, but it's a little confusing where it's like, yes, you can be whatever you want, but we're not actually gonna let you be whatever you want. We're not gonna give you the options to, you know, be a male or female. We're just gonna have ambiguous nothing. Like, You're not even gonna know what you are. Like you have no idea what you are.
You have no idea.
Like, you might see curves, but you don't know if there's a stick. You might see flat, but you don't know if there's no stick.
Hey. Okay, let us not get ourselves demonetized.
How do you get demonetized over stick? Stick is stick. Stick is the stick. It does the poking. It does the breaking. You don't want to be doing the breaking.
This is a family show.
Not a family show. What kind of family are you talking about? Our family are the people who watch.
Family the people who watch. A whole 10 people. But anyways.
I didn't know we had such a big family.
Such a big fan base.
Oh, wow.
Getting ourselves a wiki page soon.
Yeah. Well, technically, we can make one right now. It
if you make your own wiki page, does that even count?
I'd say it does, because wiki is meant to go and categorize and like document stuff. So technically, this would be that would count.
Make your own wiki page. It just feels sad.
Well, that's the whole point.
To be sad?
Yeah. Once when you go and have a wiki page, it's like, oh God, I exist now.
Yes, I have made Wikipedia.
I'm
officially
my
popular.
My existence is true.
I have been validated.
I can't just exist in the void anymore. I'm actually here in the world.
I exist on Wiki, the only place that matters.
Yeah.
But honestly though, don't get me wrong, like, it was nice to get us a walkthrough entirely of what the character creator looked like. Funny enough, we actually were shown that you don't actually pick your house in the creator itself. You don't actually do that till it seems later on in the game. My guess is there's going to be some cutscene where you get the sorting hat placed on your head, and then there'll be some menu where you get to pick it. Or who knows, maybe you'll...
I would bet they would do something with the sorting hat. It'd be not only
I mean, we do see it in the trailer making an appearance, so
yeah.
It's certainly going to be a factor at some point.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I'd feel like they'd do something with the sorting hat. It's like, there's a number of reasons why.
I mean, it could be that what they do is kind of like what Pottermore is. I doubt it, but it could be kind of interesting where they just kind of give you like trivia questions and then they assign your house based on those. Or they could just straight up let you pick. I feel like they'll straight up let you pick, but it would be kind of funny if they actually do go the kind of like pop trivia route and be like, by these answers, you're most likely a Slytherin. Oh crap! Apparently,
I'm in danger.
And survey says you are a racist.
How a villain is made.
How a villain is made. Honestly, save the Slytherin playthrough for like your genocide run. You go full in dark magic, become a complete ass to everyone.
Yep.
I mean, they did say that they kind of like when they were designing the house kind of dorms, because all we see in the movies is the Gryffindor house, obviously, and kind of bits and pieces of the Slytherin house. So that's it.
Yeah, you don't really get a good idea on what everything else is like.
Yeah, the other two dorm rooms are completely unknown. They might feature in the books, but I'm not sure.
Mm-hmm. I would bet they feature in the books because the books cover a lot more of the world. But
they did say they made a lot of nods to like the in-game lore. In fact, even things we don't really see in the movies, like in the Great Hall, right beside the kind of like grand, eating area. There's like 4 hourglasses which are used to kind of like count point houses, or the houses for points. They don't actually function in the game itself, they said, but they're just kind of like nods to the world itself, right?
Yeah, it's there to kind of exist for it, be part of it.
Sadly, by the sounds of it, when we were given the kind of question of like, what can we do in our leisure time, kind of like alluding to the idea of like in-game mini-games, they kind of danced around the question, essentially being like, oh, well, we got a lot of, basically side quest content and da-da-da-da-da. So basically, by the sounds of it, nothing.
Yeah, no, like at
one point,
what was it? At one point, they were talking about like this quest where a girl needed help going and picking up some kind of object for her game. And then afterwards, they're like, yeah, oh yeah, by the way, you won't be able to actually play this game. It's like it exists, but like apparently in the world there are people who play it, but you're not gonna actually be able to play it. Like you're not gonna be able to play these little mini games that would exist in the actual world.
If they were smart, at the very least, they would save it for DLC. But whatever.
We'll see.
Or at the very least, when it comes to like Quidditch, right?
Yeah.
Because
Like
everyone's
that's
like,
the
"Can we play
thing. It's like
Quidditch?"
no,
Damn it!
we don't even know if you'd be able to play Quidditch. Like that's
I believe
kind of
no.
yeah. Like that's kind of what it seemed like. Where it's like, oh yeah, no, you're not gonna be able to do any of this kind of stuff.
Like missed opportunity, much, but it's like really nothing. Okay.
All right.
Yeah, they really did dance around the question and essentially just roll back on the idea of like, oh, there are, you know, lots of play and lots of NPCs with lots of different quests tied to them, and it's like, number one, that is not what you were asked, but regardless.
We will carry on from there then.
But there is something I've been meaning to touch about, and that's the actual design of the game itself. We were actually talking a little bit before the show, and we kind of, I think, agree on the fact that the world itself is very well designed. Like, it is very well designed, the world itself. It is a very beautiful looking world. There is, however, one caveat. The world itself looks really good. The things in which exist in this world, i.e. the character models, they're a bit hit or miss. Let me elaborate on that a bit more, in case you're wondering. No, the character models themselves don't look atrocious. The models themselves look fine. It's how they're animated.
Yeah, it's the details are very nice. Like the textures itself are fine. It's just how they've made the characters move within the world.
Yeah, they look a little
Chunky.
weird. Yeah, he says chunky, I say weird. Same thick.
Basically.
You get the point.
Yeah, it feels off. It like Nick went and said it feels like the old Mass Effect game, like the first one.
It kind of does in the way the mouth moves, in the regard of like, it's.
Was it within the first half of the gameplay?
Well, after they got done the character creator, because like we said, they spent 20 minutes on just the character creator, which I don't know how the hell you waste so much time on a character creator, but
well, it's the same reason why people spend hours on a time just creating one character for their game that they're not really gonna be looking at very much.
Fair enough, fair enough. I can kind of see it when you put it in that context. Like, I don't spend much time in the character creator for myself. I try to limit it, like, to at least, 5 or 10 minutes, depending on how interested in the game I am and how invested I want to be in the character itself. But I'm not going to sit there for hours on it tweaking settings. I have on a few occasions, but that's not my norm by any means. So I try to make light of characters.
Yeah, no, for the most part, my characters tend to be just, all right, what hair color do I want? What kind of style do I want? What color do I want for the eyes? Do I want the eyes to be big or small? Do I want them like all chunky looking, like on like freaky looking angles? Do I want like some goblin looking guy, or do I want some orc?
Do I want like a freaking pyramid head looking face?
Yeah, like, do I want to like make an abomination of humanity, or do I just want an average looking Joe? Because for the most part, you're not gonna look at your character's face. Like, like Destiny, I've got a character who's got like a certain designed face. Don't care. Helmet stays on. Fallout, nicely designed character with some scars and stuff. Don't care. Helmet stays on.
That's the same thing with me for Destiny. I created my character all the way back in D1 and just imported him. I wish I could change the hairstyle and a few other things nowadays. But the helmet stays on basically all the time anyway, so I rarely see him anyway.
Yeah, the helmet stays on.
No one will see. No one will ever see. It's a mystery.
Yeah. The helmet stays
The Master Chief
on.
appearance.
You do not argue with it.
We do not argue with it. Going the Master Chief route. The helmet is my face.
Yeah. This is my identity on 30 different levels.
Exactly. But yeah, here's the thing though. When it comes back to the animation, as we said prior, it really has to do mostly in, like I said, the faces. One of the things that came to mind on the topic of Mass Effect, actually, is kind of like the old joke that came from Mass Effect Andromeda, the lazy face. Or the tired face, which had to get retroactively added in as a way to kind of like a tongue-in-cheek to the glitch of the face. Because here's the thing, right? the first interaction they had with an NPC for quest giving, because they interacted with 2 quest givers and accepted the quests for the sake of demonstration. The first one looked really stiff. Like the face, it was your old style of face, old style of animation for gaming, where the mouth just kind of moved up and down. There wasn't really much expression going on.
Yeah, like the really old ones was literally just opening and closing the mouth. There wasn't any real movement with it. Like it was basically like the sounds of ba 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 ba.
Like I just got a picture of South Park or like freaking.
Yeah, like the mouth just opens and closes. That was really it back in the day.
Yeah, some mixture between South Park and Charlie Brown. But regardless. But here's the thing. It's very inconsistent in that regard. At first I was like, okay, it's going to be one of those games. Not the worst thing in the world, but, something to get used to. And then the second one they interact with has a lot more expression in the face. It feels a lot more alive. It feels a lot better animated. I'm sitting there going, what's happened between 1 and 2? Hell, this is all one giant demonstration. What the hell happened between these 2 character models? Did you get someone else to do it? Did you just spend more time on it? I don't know.
Yeah, what's the difference?
Like, here's the thing. I'm not expecting, like, God of War Ragnarok level of animations, which, again, obviously a good game. Played through the whole thing over the weekend in order to go back to YouTube, because I was tired of having things spoiled for me on YouTube. So I just cranked through the entire game in the span of from Wednesday to Friday to Saturday, something like that. Finished it by, I think it's Saturday, yeah. Saturday night. Came out on Wednesday, so... But regardless... I'm not expecting those kinds of animations, right? Because your characters that you're working with model-wise are fairly limited.
Yeah, it's all going to be, it's all going to have its own set limitations and stuff. So you got to specifically work around the design of what you made.
Right. Whereas compared to... there we go again. Whereas comparative to something like, Cyberpunk or hell, even the kind of Assassin's Creed debacle, right? Where... you've got a ton of NPCs with a ton of quests and just a laundry list of things to do. That's fine and everything, but that means you're probably going to have an assembly line of character models that you're going to need to animate, which means you're probably going to not have the best animations for all of them. So that would be my guess as to why it's so inconsistent. It's just that they just spent more time on the second one than they did the first. I'm just wondering how common that kind of like simplistic more animation for the face is going to be. That more subdued kind of animation. We've seen some of the cutscenes when it comes to like the actual in-game cutscenes, and the animation there looks fine. For like the earlier trailers, we've seen snippets of actual like full-on cutscenes, and those look fine. Those look well animated. But the actual like NPC interactions themselves, their animations look, like I said, a bit more subdued. But then again, they kind of don't in some cases as well, depending on who you talk to. So it looks a bit hit or miss. We will see.
Yeah.
Not the biggest issue in the world, but certainly something worth pointing out. Like I said, look how much Mass Effect Andromeda got nailed for their face debacle. And they retroactively added in a line for that character where it's just like, oh yes, my face is tired.
Yeah, I'm always tired.
There's a tongue-in-cheek way to address it, so who knows? Maybe it'll be a big thing, maybe it won't. I don't know.
We'll see. I mean, here's hoping that like the game that they showed was like somewhat still in a development state, and they're working on like more and more animations, and they just rushed some of their animations for the moment now, just to go and make sure that the showcase would look nice.
Yeah, possible. It's certainly possible. Though, do remember, like I said, they were originally betting on it being done by December, so...
yeah.
Who knows if they've really kind of shifted priorities to a more February release date, or if they're just kind of like finishing it still by December, and then they're just going to kind of hold on to it until February. That's also possible.
Yeah. And let's all not forget, every time you hear we're pushing back the date, that tends to not be a good thing as of recently.
I feel it was done purely for the marketing angle or the business sense. I don't feel it has anything to do on the game itself, personally
Yeah.
speaking. I feel it's entirely a business decision.
I mean, it's like,
Unlike some
what is
games.
it? Like a 2-3 month increase, so it's not that bad.
Well, it went from December to February, so about 2 months.
Yeah. So that's better than like increasing it by like 6 or more.
And that wasn't even a full 2 months either, because I think it was going to release on like December 26th or something like that. So basically almost the bottom end of December.
Yeah, like about a month and a half increase then.
Yeah.
So that honestly does kind of feel like they were trying to do the awards ceremony then for 2023.
Yeah. Or some other business decision, because let's be honest, that is clearly not enough time for any major development issues.
No.
It's not like Cyberpunk where they were just like, oh yeah, we're going to postpone this by another year. It's like, oh, that's a problem.
Oh, clearly you're doing something. Please do not rush.
Take your time.
Market heads, please give the developers like 5 minutes.
Or when, or kind of in the case of like what happened with Dying Light 2 originally, where it was at some point it was going to release like I think it was like originally like 2018, something like that. But then all of a sudden, like mid 2018, they're like, yeah, we're going to postpone this game indefinitely.
Yeah.
It did end up coming out. I have it for deluxe for PS5, and it's a very good game, mind you.
Yeah.
In fact, they just released their most recent DLC, I think, very recently.
Well, yeah, no, Spencer too showed it to me one time when I was at his house. Like it looks like a very nice game.
And again, like I said, this was postponed indefinitely, I think for several years, like without end, so who knows what they were doing, but it turned out well enough, so I guess it's fine.
They did something.
They did something. But regardless, the Masquerade Bloodlines 2 Vampire is actually in the same state as well, where it's currently postponed indefinitely, so who knows. But anyways, but yeah, as for Hogwarts Legacy itself, like I said, they kinda didn't show as much as they didn't already. When it comes to the questions, like I said, they kinda spent 40 minutes discussing nothing, as I like to say, where like I said, like we said prior, on the topic of like what will you be able to do in leisure activity was something they were legitimately asked. They kind of ping-ponged around the question by basically saying that, oh, there's tons of, content, there's tons of quests in the game, and each are individually based on the character story, and da-da-da-da-da. It felt very hand-wavy, where they were trying not to say anything, because basically would, in a sense, not say anything, because they know we wouldn't like the actual answer. But, so yeah. They couldn't even put a Quidditch in the game, for pity's sake, but they could put all the other bloody Easter eggs in the game.
Well, I don't know. I really don't know. Like, a lot of games have like little mini games within them, and then open world games are notorious for that. So
yeah. I don't know. Maybe that's a good thing. Maybe it's not. It's just that it's like you couldn't have at least included like Quidditch or something like that. Come on, that you couldn't include at least. No, I don't believe it.
Yeah. There's likely another reason for it.
Yet they're like, oh, look at this thing, and look at that thing, and look at this Easter egg from the books and stuff like that. And it's like, cool, don't care. Why couldn't you include Quidditch? Spend less time on pointless Easter eggs and more time actually getting good content in. But
I want my Quidditch.
I want my Quidditch, but bitterness aside, I'm not bitter. You're bitter.
Oh, how could I be bitter when I am not the one playing?
We could still. I could be surprised. There could still be something that we haven't seen yet. I don't know. Funny enough, they did actually show off the in-game menu screen. I don't know how it's come for us to say that in any sort of sense, but usually when I would say that, I would consider they truly said nothing. But the menu screen actually does tell us a few interesting tidbits. Albeit indirectly, and they didn't actually bring them up. But if you look at the menu screen, it actually is interesting. number one, there's actually a section in there for owl mail. Now, for those who don't know, owl mail is essentially the wizard version of email.
Interesting.
The only difference it is brought by physical owl and not by, the internet. So, kind of makes me wonder why that's there. Will that be kind of used as a way for, like, maybe quest givers to be like, oh yeah, by the way, that thing you asked is done for, or... Funny enough, there is actually a PS5 exclusive that's going to be timed for about a year, which is a side quest where you basically get to own a shop in Hogsmeade. But basically, to get that shop, you have to first clear it out because it's been haunted. So maybe you'll get your shop's paycheck in the mail because they're like, by the way, you can sell things at the shop at better rates than you can anywhere else. So
yes.
Basically, it's a soft way of confirming that I can screw over people in the game.
Yes.
Oh, this invisibility potion. Oh, it's like 5 shekels over there. Yeah, it's gonna be like 20 shekels over here. Pay up.
Yes, this is my store, my prices.
My store, my prices. Pay up.
Money, please.
Honestly. So that would be kind of funny if they just give you like your paycheck through the mail every like few days or so.
Why not?
Speaking of days, let's go over another thing I was actually hoping to talk about. And that is actually the flow of time in the game. Doesn't sound that interesting, but let me explain. This is a game that's going to detail the entirety of the school year. In other words, we're going to start off in spring, go through summer, winter, da-da-da-da-da. It's going to be a whole school year. Basically, it's going to be like Persona in that regard. We're going to have the game set throughout the entirety of a school year. Now, there were questions about how that's going to be played out. How are we going to, are we going to go the full-on sim route like we see in, for example, Persona, which goes full-on sim route when it comes to everything? We're going to have to constantly balance everything. Or is it going to be a little more unrealistic in terms of things? Yes, there's going to be a day-night cycle they have confirmed, but the actual changing of the seasons and time, and the overall flow of time, that's going to be more of a stage in the story thing, right? Yeah. So midway through the story, you're going to be in the middle of summer. Later in late story, you're going to be maybe in winter, and then by the end of the story, you're all the way back in spring again.
You can't really just sit around in the game and things change over time.
That'd be kind of funny. Hey, by the way, the world's ending. Cool. I'm just gonna go and play.
Yeah, I'm just gonna be standing in this corner for 8 hours. Don't mind me.
8 hours a day, staring at a painting, make them feel uncomfortable. But anyways, and while I was initially disappointed when they revealed they aren't gonna go the sim route, it does make sense. Let me explore a little bit why. Like I said, in the case, for those who who don't watch the show before, or don't remember our previous talk about it, I'm talking about Hogwarts Legacy whenever I have the given opportunity. And I often like to say I want my Persona 5 Harry Potter edition.
Yes.
Here's the thing, though. In that regard for Persona, I don't think it's a bad idea that they didn't go the sim route, and let me explain why. In Persona, you're constantly fighting against not only the enemies of the game, but also just the very concept of time itself. You are constantly having to balance everything. You're constantly having to be like, okay, do I spend time with this character, or do I go off and do this thing? Do I do that thing, or do I go and do this other thing, And you're constantly having to weigh your pros and cons, and that's why in any single run of Persona 5, you can't accomplish everything. You just don't have enough time to do it. You're just going to have to make sacrifices on what you want to do and what you don't. Which is why when it comes to getting close to certain characters, which unlocks abilities in the game later, depending on who you get close to, you're going to have to make judgment calls on who you value more.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. That works with a game like Persona when that's kind of the whole point of everything. We're constantly fighting against the clock. But by that point, you never get the chance to do anything. This is a game, judging by the way they just kind of express it, here, look at the world, look at the detail. They want you to go out and do things. This is a game like Assassin's Creed, like I said, or like Cyberpunk, that is riddled with side quests. and riddled with things to do.
Yeah, it feels like another one of those games where like there's more world that you can go into, but other than that, it's fairly
It's kind of like
hollow-shelled.
Fallout in that regard.
Yeah.
And it's like, in a game like, for example, like I said, Fallout or Assassin's Creed, where you've got a laundry list of things to do and a bunch of random characters to meet, now besides your just straight up companion.
Hopefully he's not lagging. I think he's lagging. Let me double check something. Let me make sure it's not me. I don't think it's me. No. Yeah, no, I have an internet connection. I think he's lagging. Don't mind him, folks. Okay, let me see something. No. Yeah. No. I'm fine. He's not. Hopefully he comes back here in a minute. But yeah, no, from what I'm thinking, yeah, it's like Hogwarts is probably going to be very different to Persona, because when it comes to Persona, you're set with it like the number of characters you have, and you only have so much time to be able to like go with all of them. So you're only gonna ever be able to go and get so much done per playthrough. On the other scale for like Hogwarts, this feels like it's gonna end up being a game that's gonna have a lot more that you can get yourself into. Like there's gonna be a lot more of a world that you can go and mess around with, and you're gonna be a lot more free to do so. Like you're not gonna be locked down by time. There's a good chance that some gameplay aspects, like some quests might be time locked, where it's like, all right, this can only be done in the winter, this can only be done in the summer, like some stuff like that probably. But for the most part, I would say it's probably safe to bet that that a fair chunk of the game is open for the most part. Like you're going to be able to basically go anywhere. Probably some areas will be locked where it's like, okay, yeah, I need you to get this thing, get the MacGuffin, and unlock this area for us, or something like that. But for the most part, I'd be willing to bet like the difference between Persona and this is the fact that you'll probably be able to just go and freely complete quests at your own rate, at your own speed. And looks like Nick completely timed out, so I hopefully his internet didn't completely crash. If so, then I'll just pack this up myself. Let me see, where is my phone? I'll get my phone, because just in case, if he tries to text me. Here, you know what, I'll text him, because this is interesting. Let's see here. I will send him a message to make sure everything's good for him. There we go. All right, there we go. All right, but yeah, no, I would bet gameplay wise, like the casual gameplay, you'll probably be going through a good chunk. All right, that works. You'll probably be going through a good chunk of the game freely, at your own pace, at your own speed. You won't need to worry about. There we go.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, forgive me if I sound a little disorienting. That's because currently I am doing the entire show over the course of my phone. Now, you're probably sitting there wondering why I suddenly stopped talking. Good question. I have no idea.
Your internet probably cut out or something for a moment.
Well, it's not just cut out for a moment. Currently, I'm doing this all through data. My entire internet in the house has dropped in its entirety. I just spent the last 3 to 4 minutes trying to get it back unsuccessfully. So I said, screw it. For the sake of you all, ladies and gentlemen, I am doing this through the phone.
Okay. Well, I'll let you know. I just quickly talked about how I'd be willing to bet the game will probably be fairly free in your ability to go and do quests. There might be one or two quests that'll be time locked, like you have to go and get something during winter and only winter. But I would bet, like, unlike Persona, your chances are pretty high to be able to do what you want as you want freely.
Yeah, they even mentioned, for example, like the class schedule. You're like, there's going to be some mandatory classes you're going to have to attend, but even the classes themselves almost feel optional. Like, go to them if you want to get better things, which in a way almost makes you feel more realistic because you don't physically have to go to class. You can just be like, nah, just leave.
No, I'm gonna go now. Bye-bye.
I'm not going to be a good student.
I'm not gonna practice doing my spells.
But, so yeah, it is going to be that thing where it emphasizes a lot more freedom. Because, like I said, if you were fighting against an entire laundry list of things to do, as well as time itself, you're never going to be able to do anything. Plus, I can say for a fact that, depending on the type of game you're playing, such a thing like a time limit can actually take away from the experience of the game. Like, take Cyberpunk, for example. I think it's old enough at this point where I can kind of spoil the story.
I would say
At this point, at this point. At some point in the game, very early on, you're basically given a time limit, or your character is. They're basically like, yeah, you got like maybe like 3 or 4 months left to live, and then you're probably gonna wind up dead because of X thing.
Yeah.
Because of this chip in your head. You're probably gonna die because of this chip within at least, maybe 2 or 3 months. And so you're sitting there going, well, crap, does this mean I've got like a time limit of shit I have to do? No, you really don't. You can't sit there and just stare at a corner for 3 months. And I actually had to go to Reddit to get an answer to that, because it doesn't ever tell you that in the game. There is literally like a countdown-like thing for the quest. It's like a quest in itself that just kind of progresses slowly as you do things. But that's kind of like missions and side quests and stuff like that, and actual like physical
So then,
quests.
quick side question, like, after a few months, then you would actually just die all of a sudden, or?
You can literally just sit there and just drive around the city for 3 years and you'll be fine. It's only like through progressing the main story that actually begins to actually be really a thing. And even then, it's more of a story plot point than anything else. So you can't literally just sit there for 3 years and just do nothing.
For the most part, it's just, yes, you're going to die, but you're not going to die yet because, plot.
The plot demands it.
Your plot armor is very strong at this point. We kind of need you to be alive in order to progress. So we're just gonna let you sit around for like 8 years, even though you haven't completed much of the main.
You got like 2 months. 8 years later, whatever happened to those 2 months?
Yeah. Well,
but yeah, so. It is kind of that thing where it's like, it does take away from the experience, because at first point, like I said, the game doesn't tell you that that's actually not a thing. It just kind of tells you that, puts a literal timer in the, well, not a physical one, but they're kind of like if you know how the game is structured, it's basically like a quest, like progression tracker in the actual quest tab of like, hey, I'm gonna die when this is done. It doesn't tell you that's actually not gonna happen until you progress the game itself. And yeah, and so you're sitting there going, oh crap, do I actually have a time limit now? So it does make sense to not have that. So it kind of gives the players more freedom to be like, okay, you can go around, play your side quests, go around, do stuff like that, explore the world, and then you can progress the quest when you think you're all done. And they did say that there are certain things that you will be doing at certain times of the year. Excuse me. So, for example, I imagine if there's any, like, for example, Christmas-based quests or Halloween-based quests.
I would bet there'd be a Halloween quest. I'd bet like, there'd be a special, like, yes, spooky month.
Spooky month. Oh yeah, by the way, this, like, I can imagine there's just like some random side quest in October where like some student, you find him in the hallways and it's just like, what happened? I cursed the pumpkin, now he's running around the palace.
The headless one is here.
The headless ones are here, the headless ones are here.
We have to get rid of them. We'll send them through a dimensional portal.
And that's how they got to Destiny. Name some 10-year-old named Tom who was not doing his herbology homework.
Yes.
But
Just wanted to play.
Just wanted to play. Now you're cursed for all eternity.
Cool.
I kind of feel like that'd be interesting, like a Christmas-based quest, like near Christmas time.
Mm-hmm.
Some idiot makes all the presents disappear because some invisibility spell goes completely awry.
Yeah. It's supposed to be a single object, but for some reason he went and made it a bunch. And it's very randomized. He had no control over what objects went invisible.
So you're just gonna have to hunt through the entire castle to find the presents. But, you know, it would be kind of things like that, I would imagine. Other than that, the map itself looks interesting. Like the UI itself. They've got basically a set of spells, right? And that you learn. They're essentially unlockable spells, and you learn them through a mixture of classes, and we actually see that, for example, in the case of one of the companions. He teaches you certain spells. Obviously, that's probably going to apply to more than just them. Like, for example, one of the characters, I believe it's Poppy Sweeting or something like that, who's kind of like this beast, kind of like person who's very close to like creatures and stuff like that. It'd be kind of funny if she teaches you, for example, like a spell based around like communicating with animals, become a beast whisperer.
Yeah.
And you just kind of have the power to make random animals fight for you for a bit. Or something of that nature. Or you just have the ability to summon animals in fights.
Yeah.
So they are kind of unlockable spells that you get over time. Not only through the classes themselves, but also just, like I said, companion interactions. Well, it's kind of like Persona in that regard as well. So it's like, depending on who you choose to get close to will depend on which spells you have to work with. But who knows? You might be able to get close to all of them. We still don't know.
Don't know. Well, we'll have to see on that one then.
There's also one thing people keep buggering themselves about, and that's the companion layout themselves. Let me explain. As of currently, we have a confirmed companion for Raven. We have a confirmed companion for the Gryffindor house. We have a confirmed companion from the Slytherin house. We have a confirmed companion from the Hufflepuff house. We do not, however, have a confirmed companion for the Ravenclaw house. And that's got everyone eerie because it's like, come on, you've got only 3 and there are 4 houses. Either this is a gross oversight, and you are literally just not having one, or you are saving them for some bloody reason.
You have something going on. Explain yourself.
Explain yourself now. So everyone's kind of wondering why they're keeping the Ravenclaw companion secret. Is there even a Ravenclaw companion? Obviously, you can get close to these companions even if you're not from that house, I would imagine, though it's probably easier to meet them originally if you're from their house.
Yeah, I'd be willing to bet they probably, for the most part, will hang around in their actual house, and there's someone that you could meet right away if you're part of the house. And then if you want to actually meet them later on, you have to, like, come across them at some other point down the line.
I know in the case of one of the characters, she's from the Gryffindor house. I think you originally meet her judging by just how I'm picking apart the cutscene is just during one of the charms classes. You're just going in for the first time and you sit next to her and she's like, you're the new student, and I guess that's just how you start meeting. So my best guess is that you might run into them randomly in their house, so they won't maybe not talk to you. And it's only until you meet them through the main story that they'll be like, hey, and get to talk to you and stuff like that.
Yeah, I could.
And they did show for. So there is that. We did see in the dueling section, which we haven't even gotten to yet, that you can actually have all of the companions from the different houses with you. So you can actually. So just because you pick, for example, Slytherin, doesn't mean you can't befriend the Gryffindor companion.
Well, I mean, it makes sense to be able to be friends with people from other houses. Like, just because you're like, yes, you're not my house. Get away from me. Yes, we are part of Hogwarts. We don't grow and try to create capacity and understanding between others. We divide and conquer.
Well, well, in fairness, I can't say much for the books because, like I said, I haven't read them. Full
Yeah.
disclosure. At least in the movies, there really isn't much house kind of mishmashing.
Yeah. No, I
Well, that's
at least
simply
it's my
I guess
hopes
the
that for the most part it's just slight bantering between them all, and it's like friendly. Well, the teachers intend it to be friendly competition.
quote unquote friendly.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, they're cursing each other in the bathrooms.
Yeah.
But that's the thing. So, like I said, we can befriend all the companions. So, by the looks of it, don't think your original house choice will depend on who you get to befriend or not. You can still befriend, like, for example, the Slytherin companion just because you're not in Slytherin. Which will be interesting because, like I said, by the looks of it, he's the one we learn the dark arts from. So, if you want to go down the genocide route, don't worry. You don't have to be specifically Slytherin to do that.
You have options.
You have options.
You can start as the good guy house and die. Fall from grace.
Start as a lovely Hufflepuff and then just go to become a masochist or genocidal masochist. I don't know.
Yep.
But anyways, speaking of combat, which I mentioned briefly earlier, we did actually get to see a glimpse of that. Well, not a glimpse. They did actually show what looks to be like there is one of the. This kind of makes me kind of understand why one of the developers was kind of tiptoeing around the question of leisure activity, because one of them feels more like a practice arena kind of thing. Because apparently there's this basically quest giver. I don't want to say quest giver, more of a not a companion either, more of an NPC you meet in the castle, and you've got this almost Fight Club thing going on. I believe it was like cross wands or something like that. Maybe that's a reference to the books. I don't know. You read the Harry Potter books, let me know. Is that a reference? I don't know. Regardless, there's this cross wands, basically in-game, basically dueling arena. And you get to basically climb up the ranks of duelists, or you get to practice on training dummies. And it's good to, practice either your spells or literally just go up the ranks in terms of the actual quest thing. So this kind of makes me realize why he kind of tiptoed around the answer, because it's kind of a leisure activity. You can kind of just sit there and just wail on training dummies if you want to.
Yeah. In that case,
so
then
maybe
it would seem like most of the leisure activities then would revolve around basic gameplay in anyways.
Or maybe just tied to specific characters and like how they're done. That might be it. But regardless, we do actually get to see how that basically plays out. And as Justin kind of mentioned in the beginning, you kind of have a weird levitation. Well, not weird levitation, but you kind of like a shield, like, well, that's actually a thing in the games, right? Or the movies. And the books. However, there really doesn't seem to be any uses for cover, so you're just gonna have to be standing out there. You can dodge, though, so you can't
you have to,
away.
like, carefully watch the television. Oh, yeah. The Amber Alert. Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, thing about live TV. We get bothered by live problems.
Yeah.
Regardless, back to the
It's just
show.
a test, really, bruh. Bruh. We're testing our Amber Alert system.
Our show. Then test it on your own devices.
Yeah.
Regardless, I demand compensation. You've ruined the flow of the show.
You've ruined it. Soiled
Regardless,
it.
going back to the battle system itself, there doesn't appear to be any uses for cover. There doesn't seem to be. You're just gonna have to be sitting out there, which I do believe. Like, I was watching Angry Joe while he was reviewing. One of his guys was like, it would be nice if there was at least, a use for cover or stuff like that, which you do see them kind of running and rolling and, using cover in the actual, like, books and stuff itself, so, eh. And while it doesn't look like they've implemented a cover system, because in fairness, in a gameplay standpoint, I can kind of see why. Because here's the thing. If you implement a cover system, you kind of limit yourself to where and when you can do battles. You kind of have to use an area with cover, right? And you kind of have to bake that cover into the environment itself. So, take Gears of War, right? There's tons of cover in that game. But it has to be baked into the game itself, right? So if you're going to have a cover system, you're going to need to have that baked the end of the game, and you're going to only need to do fights in those areas with cover. Whereas if you don't have a cover system, you can kind of just use a fight anywhere. So if you want to be like, oh, there's a random conflictation here, 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 and here, make it work. Then you're just like, okay, sure, we'll just place the enemies there, and that'll do. So it's a lot easier for them to just kind of go the natural kind of roll dodge route instead of the cover route.
Yeah. Yeah,
and I mean,
cover can be a difficult thing to implement sometimes because of the fact that you have to implement it in such a way where splash damage is reduced in a certain capacity or completely like removed, like specific things like that. You have to make it, and because you're dealing with also spells that in the gameplay you see your own character, well, the actual playable character get picked up with a levitation spell just as much as you can levitate.
They cover useless, like, in that regard.
Yeah, like there's certain things like that where you have to implement it in such a way where it's like, I've got to deal with all this. How do I do that? So.
Plus, in the case of cover, you would kind of have it where it's like, oh, if you have a cover, then that means you have to incentivize characters to use it, which means, hey, maybe the bullets take a lot more damage.
Yeah.
Versus if you don't have cover,
you'd have to increase the amount of damage taken and stuff like that. Like, there's a lot of things that you have to reconsider when it comes to cover, because literally just the implementation of cover is, all right, I now have to incentivize people to actually use it, otherwise it's useless.
Pretty much. And like you pointed out, when you have a levitation spell that you can just basically just grapple people force pull style, it really negates the point of it.
Yeah. Yeah, like there's one spell where you pick them up and then another where you throw them back. Or no, you bring them to you and then the normal attacks are what, like, you send them flying away from you.
Yeah.
So.
And there's literally like finishers where you pick them up and just make it like a ragdoll and just whang, whang, whang against the floor with it. So,
yeah.
You know, it does kind of negate the use of cover.
Yeah.
And I mean, you do have a shield charm as well, or a shield spell, so there's that. And that does seem to factor in integrally with gameplay, which, from if you watch the movies and read the books, I'm assuming as well, that's also kind of a thing as well. So, that kind of makes sense.
Yeah, there's that for you.
And from a game developer standpoint, it certainly makes sense, because, like we both pointed out, you need to integrate cover and provide reasons to use that cover if you're going to use a cover system.
Yeah.
Versus you can just skip it and be like, okay, here's a shield charm and the ability to roll and dodge. There, done.
Yeah, here's a means to avoid damage. Here's a means to allow yourself to prevent damage. And here's a means to go and prevent your enemy from even being able to dish out damage to begin with.
Yeah.
Begin.
Begin. Plus, like I said, it's a lot easier to make battle scenarios in areas when you don't have to worry about cover. Because then you have to make scenes with cover in them versus areas where it's just like, oh, surprise battle. That kind of adds a bit more surprise to it, because then you can't judge based purely on the environment when you're going to do, like... Because, for example, like Gears of War, you walk through an area, you'll be like, there's cover here, here, here. Okay, I'm going to need to use that at some point. Versus if you're just walking through a random area and just a random enemy appears. Yep, congratulations. Now start dueling.
Go.
So yeah, there's that. In the case of the other parts of the battle system, well, other than the fact that the spells kind of work on a cooldown meter, like, they have what they refer to as their basic shot. I'm going to wonder if they seem to like to nod towards Easter eggs and stuff like that, so I wonder if the basic shot actually has any history behind it in the game itself.
It might.
Or if it's just some, random extra spell they created just for the sake of the game. Like some random... It might be some random throwaway spell.
It might.
Or it might be some legitimate, like...
Yeah, you never know.
You never know. I'm interested to see what that gives, because like I said, they seem to like their Easter eggs, so we'll see. Or their nods to the actual in-game lore, so we will see. As for the spells themselves, like I said, there doesn't appear to be any mana meters, so don't worry. You're not going to be like, crap, if I use this spell too many times, I can't use it anymore. Don't worry, you're fine. You just have a cooldown to worry about.
Yeah. You have everything else to worry about.
Yeah, you have everything else to worry about. But that would be kind of funny, though. It's just like, I am a wizard.
No,
And
you're
then
not.
you just try to use. Then you just try to use like a freaking fire spell, and just like, why isn't this working? Damn it, amount of mana.
Why do not I not have capability of magic usage?
I'm wizard. Why is this? Oh well, at least there won't be a case where the enemies can do more magic than you can because they just have bottomless mana and you don't. Anyone who's ever played a boss fight where that is a mechanic, you know exactly what I'm talking about.
Pain. It begins now.
But anyways. But regardless.
Hmm?
So, other than that, let's see. We covered the battle system. We've covered several different things. Anything else you can think of?
Not really. I mean, for the most part, it's one of those cases where it's like it's up in the air. You would think that they would have covered like some of the like hinted or something towards like some of the later game areas, or if there is more to the actual game than just the castle, showing like snippets of that or something. But
ladies and gentlemen, I think I figured out why we don't have Wi-Fi on our end. Power's dead.
Power's out.
Power's out.
What happened?
Hell if I know.
Huh.
And knowing my luck, it is strictly here, which means I still have to go all the way to Hamilton to do my college. So, lucky me.
Well, at the
Regardless.
very least, I don't think the power outage will mean your vehicle doesn't work. So, I think you're fine on that front, at least.
But regardless. So, do we have anything else? Let's see. Like I said, the battle system. We covered a few other things. Yeah, I think we covered our bases. They did interestingly say in the actual thing that they did kind of allude to in later gameplay trailers. It does look like there's going to be more trailers in the future, or more reveals in the future, where they show off other areas of the world. So like I said, this one was kind of confined to the castle, strictly in areas for the most part it seems we've already kind of seen or were alluded to in the past anyway.
Yeah.
So they didn't really show us, for example, like the herbology wing or anything like that. Well, we kind of already saw that too, so But they did kind of allude to the ability to like go outside and, you know, explore the world beyond it. So they just kind of basically went outside the castle and was like, hey, look at that. Okay, and we're done.
Yep. Have a good day.
So we will see. Maybe we shall see more of what goes on outside the castle. Well, presumably. Whenever that is.
Eventually.
Eventually. But yeah, that's interesting. Like I said, they did show the UI. They showed us how everything will be laid out. They showed us that potions will just kind of be on the bottom thing as kind of like hot swap things you can kind of just chug down if you need to. And a few other knickknacks, but other than that, yeah, we basically covered everything.
Well, there you go.
And like we said, if you want to see the thing for yourself, you want to see the full 43-minute reveal, like I said, link in the description. Enjoy it, I guess.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Like, again, the main gameplay is mainly just some of the more basic stuff you'll probably be doing throughout the whole game. It's not really any teaser stuff. Like, you'd think there'd be some teaser stuff to go and, like, try to hook you in and all that, but there really isn't that much. But it does, at the very least, go and give you a good understanding on some of the more basic things that you'll be dealing with when you go to play the game. So,
Pretty much.
That in itself is good.
They seem to be desperate not to spoil any of the plot. They're just basically like, here's the thing.
Yeah, here's basically what's going on. Have a good day.
Have a good day.
Yeah.
But anyway, with that out of the way, I think we'll leave it at that then.
Yep.
There's our thoughts and opinions on the new Hogwarts Legacy thing, unless, like I said, you can think of anything else to say.
Not really, no. That's pretty much it. Like, I'd say probably stay tuned. Like, stay tuned. Stay tuned, because I'd be willing to bet you'll slap me in the face with oh hey, here's an official trailer.
Yeah, and tomorrow there's gonna be like an official reveal.
Yeah.
Look at this.
Yeah. But yeah, no, I'd say like keep an eye out for eventually an actual release trailer, because that'll probably go and have a proper tease towards everything that's going on to really try to hook you in.
My guess, yeah. Watch out for the Game Awards, because that would be my guess when they do stuff like that, because they love to do stuff like that at the Game Awards.
Probably. Yeah, they'll probably do it for the 2021 or not
Or
20. Well, yeah, I said, yeah, I don't know. Don't mind me. I'm like saying like the year, and then I went and said one as in like the one happening in 2020.
Mm-hmm.
Don't mind me.
Anyways,
English is words you speak out of mouth.
Anyways, we'll leave you with that then. Won't take up any more of your times because we've covered basically everything, I think. So yeah, let us know what you think. Like, comment, subscribe. You know the usual that goes. That's 20 subscribers. I'm hopeful. Well, anyways, and with that, good night.
Have a good one, ladies and gentlemen.